Okay, so what do we throw out? What do we keep? Well, hopefully we keep a good attitude. Hopefully the economic indicators are that in spite of a whole bunch of setbacks in government and politics and a lot of other things, the private sector once again is bailing us out and pointing us in the right direction. And speaking about direction, that means that we've got a whole bunch of challenges looking at us. The governor's got a whole bunch of things on his plate, I'm sure. And right after a holiday break, which is going on right now, your legislative session will begin. And in that, we want to welcome to our studio this morning a special guest, live and direct on the last day of the year. And we have to thank her so much for getting up early. Beth Fukumoto Chang, GOP representative. Talk about where we've been and more importantly, where we're going. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
No traffic this morning. Pretty good, huh?
It was nice.
Wouldn't it be nice if it was like that like every day?
Yes, that would be where I hope we're going.
Pipe
in the
dream,
next year.
pipe dream. Anyway, I do know that we have a lot of stuff to discuss, and the reason why I reached out and wanted you to get together with us today is because I know a lot of people, Republicans and conservatives, were taken aback the other day at the resignation of Aaron Johansson, recently reelected to the House of Representatives as a Republican. And some people out in that area are wondering, gee, I thought I was getting my Republican and now I'm getting the Democrat. Can you tell us a little bit in a nutshell what you think's going on with Mr. Johansson and maybe some reasons why he might have made this decision to really sort of abandon Republicans and embrace the majority party?
Yeah, there have been a lot of ideas flying around. One of them is that, as he said in his speech, that the party's become more ideologically rigid. I actually disagree. I think if you look at Pat Psyche, nobody can say that she's an raging social conservative. And she's still at the helm of the party. So I think it's an interesting claim to make. The bottom line, I think, is that we were in an extended leadership battle. And, he walked away. And to me, politicians fight things out sometimes, but you don't just walk away and quit, right? But
Beth, I must tell you, I was shocked. Only because, as you know, I always extend the invitation in my job to those that are in elected office, and I try to have the majority and the minority represented, and I have my audience exposed to them. If you've been many times, every single week during the session, Aaron Johansson and I were in here talking story with people, and I came to know him during that time, and I thought, it's really good that this educated young fella is at the other end of Pat Psyche. Pat Psyche came back, didn't she? Because she just couldn't not contribute anymore. She just got to a point where and here we have the old and the new hand in hand walking down the street. Well, it turns out apparently Mr. Johansson was walking on the other side of the street.
Yeah. I mean,
you worked with him all session.
Very much so. And considered him a friend. And I was disappointed to hear really just 12 hours before he made the announcement that was his decision.
Now, this has happened before.
Yes.
I mean, and we've had people in both parties leave, but more Republicans joining Democrats. Right. And some people say, Beth, it's just because of the frustration as a Republican and not being able to do things. So they say inside, I'm still a Republican, but I'm going to have the D next to my name because I think I can be more effective. Yeah. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that. I don't think you can do that. Interestingly, when I first got elected, Aaron said to me, the Democrats are like the Borg. Do you remember the Borg in Star Trek? They pull everybody in and they turn you into basically a robot. And Aaron said, don't get taken over. That was his advice to me. Ironic.
The thing, though, that I must say is that I really don't think, and maybe you can help, I don't think people really understand what, if any, differences there are between Democrats and Republicans. What we do know here in Hawaii about Democrats is they rule the roost. If you're happy with the way things are, keep them going, and people have done that.
Right.
And so if somebody said, if a child came up to you, and you go to a lot of schools, if a child come up and says, Representative Fukumoto, what's a Democrat and what's a Republican, what would you say?
If it's just what's a Democrat and what's a Republican on a broad national level, I'm going to say, Republicans believe in individual freedom. They believe that less government can often be more, that people have the right to make their own decisions. Democrats don't always believe that. They believe that sometimes the government makes better decisions than the individual.
You and I have had this discussion. I've had it with Aaron Johansson. I've had it with Pat Psyche, and I'm the only person in radio that's interviewed every governor since statehood. And I don't think that one politician gets up in the morning and goes to that building and says, I think I'm going to do whatever I can to screw Hawaii up today.
No, not at all.
They don't. They believe in what they're doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What about the philosophy? And I know you heard this along the campaign trail, and in spite of the fact you keep getting, you're electable, is that, hey, if you're running as a Democrat, it'd be a lot easier. It's easier to get elected when you're a Democrat.
Yeah, people say that to everybody. Aaron's certainly not the first to that somebody tried to recruit him out of the party. Everybody, his predecessors all have. Everybody gets recruited by Democrats.
I was going to ask you about that. And I would imagine sometimes, Beth, that it's not a subtle recruitment either.
Oh, it's not at all.
We want you.
No, I mean, Gene Ward will talk about regularly being pushed to sign party cards.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's something that is unique to Aaron. We all face it. It's just a matter of whether or not you say, no, I believe in the people of my district and that they elected me as a Republican, so I'm going to stay
on that subject. Before we go anywhere else, I really want this to be a positive conversation, Beth, that we can take forward into what the challenges are for this year and all of that. But let's look at the people that feel slighted in Rep. Johansson's district, because they actually isn't that district sort of thought as a district that is a little bit more to the right and is a little bit more Republican than Democrat, as past elections have shown?
Right, yeah. I don't think we have any Republican districts, but I do think that one has leaned Republican. Bob McDermott was in it.
Yeah, he was in it, by the way. Rep. McDermott was a representative for that before the reapportionment.
Right. Lynn Finnegan was in it. So we now have, going back, 3 different representatives, Republicans.
What are you all hearing from people in the hood that said, hey, okay, I understand he can do this. It's a free country. He can switch parties, but he doesn't take my vote with him. What about people that feel, and from what I understand in Hawaii, there is no recourse, there is no recall.
No.
There's no way that somebody can say, hey, I didn't get what I voted for.
Right. We are hearing people that are disappointed, that are confused. It doesn't make sense if you're that close to changing parties. Why don't you do it before the election so people can elect you as a Democrat?
That's all the pushback that I heard.
Right.
Hey, do what you want to do.
Right.
But don't wait until after the cow's out of the barn and then say something.
Right. Right. And it's now he's been minority leader, and this is now 4 years going on, right? Then he decided to switch right when we were in the middle of what was a leadership battle. Yeah. So it looks like he left for the wrong reasons.
Okay. Before we go to traffic report, you're talking about a leadership value. From what I understand, the Republican caucus is coming very close to deciding who their leader is going to be. I know you're in the running. I know others are too. When do we expect, or when do you think? Certainly, will it come before the end of the year, which is today?
That's the goal. The goal was the end of the year for all of us. It was the goal before Aaron left. It's still the goal, and I think we're getting a lot closer. Okay, we got more coming up, including your opportunity to say hello to Beth if you'd like. We're going to talk about, when we come back after this traffic report and little break, some of the things that happened that were good, some of the things that were bad, some of the things that were just plain ugly, and more importantly, where are we going to go in 2015? What are we going to do in Hawaii to get in step with the rest of the nation politically? That's going to be quite a challenge, I think. Here's Malin Moore.
Mike Buck on AM 690. The Answer.
That's such a sad song. I don't know why they play that Old Lang Syne thing all the time. Old Lang Syne. But it is time to actually celebrate the year that's passed, and then in bated anticipation look forward to the one that's coming up. And that's what I think a lot of politicians are, optimistic. Because if you're a pessimistic politician, good luck. Anyway, Beth Fukumoto is here. We're talking about where we've been and kind of where we're going. And one thing we ought to get done with is that the Republicans were able to gain 1 seat in the House of Representatives. Yes. So we went from 7 to 8, right? Out of, for those that don't know, 51.
Right.
Which is not really a minority. It's like a super minority. There's super majorities, and okay. How does this affect your planning going forward with Mr. Johansson changing parties?
No, it doesn't. We've been at 7 before. We've been at 6 before. We've been at 4 before. So we're okay.
But there's a lot of people that are saying, "Hey, look, the reason why it's the same old is because of the stranglehold that the Democrat Party has on Hawaii, which makes it, I think, unique in the country."
Yes.
What are some of the reasons that when people ask you and other members of the caucus, how come there's so few Republicans? How do you reply to that?
I think we can only look at the Republican Party and blame ourselves. You can't blame the voter. They're just making their choice. They pick who they think is better. We haven't put out people that voters believe will be better than the people that currently exist. And that's nothing against the candidates. There's something wrong with our brand, and I think it's time that we start addressing that. It's
very interesting you say that, because nationally that's going on right now, particularly for the presidential election coming up. But there has been, tremendous gains both in the House and certainly in the Senate. For the first time in a long time, the outgoing president is in an awkward position. Doesn't that say that the people across the country have spoken up?
It has across the country. I think people in Hawaii are unique, and I think that Republicans have not often enough paid attention to the uniqueness of our state. And I think if we do that and we pay more attention, and we really ask ourselves, what is it that the people of Hawaii want from the Republican Party? And we don't ask that. We like to tell them what they want. We don't ask.
One of the things that I know is important is that there was a huge upset in the gubernatorial election this year. Nobody thought that this almost unheard of guy, this Ige guy, was going to do what he did. It does show that if you come up and you make a statement and you talk to people that you can get elected. Yeah. You said that it's candidates. Will there be a better time, do you think, going forward, now that the tide has switched a little bit nationally? Do you think that there might be more people stepping up and saying, I want to be a part of the minority party, I want to be elected?
I sure hope so. I think part of it in Hawaii, though, is going to be us changing the way we talk to people. If you look at Governor Abercrombie, he behaves a lot like Republicans often behave. He liked to tell people what they thought and wouldn't listen to them. Yeah. And, you look at Governor Ige, and people were willing to give him a chance because they felt like they knew him. And it didn't matter that he wasn't a good speaker and that he didn't necessarily come across with a plan. They trusted him.
Yeah, and isn't that sort of the bottom line? Yeah. I mean, it's instilling the trust. There's another thing, too. I know there's a lot of controversy out there when Governor Ige said, well, it's really hard to get people to come into government jobs because the pay is so lousy. And yet those of us that are not in government jobs say, hey, what's so lousy about getting, this huge retirement benefit and everything else? Is that a problem in recruiting somebody to run for office, that they're not going to get paid enough money if they get elected?
Sometimes it is. I mean, I think there are a lot of people out there, CEOs especially, who maybe would be great leaders because they have some business experience, but they don't want to give up the money. We're supposed to be a part-time legislature, but it's not always part-time.
Okay, what I want to do is, while you and I have been talking, Raphael has been gathering some stuff. This is something pretty interesting that happened last night on Hawaii News Now. Here's rather on KITV on Channel 4. Here's Paula Akana and Kenny Choi and Catherine Cruz with people in the district, Republicans, reacting to losing Aaron Johansson.
Hopping in Hawaii tonight. Good evening, I'm Paula Akana.
And I'm Kenny Choi in for Yunji Denise. State Representative Aaron Johansson was elected as a Republican less than 2 months ago, but he'll serve Hawaii as a Democrat. KITV4's Catherine Cruz shows it's a move that generated swift and severe responses from his former party.
Peter Donales couldn't believe it. The Foster Village resident voted for Aaron Johansson and was disappointed and discouraged at the news that he's abandoned the Republican Party.
Well, I think people are going to be mad at him.
But another voter shrugged it off, saying she'd likely vote for him again, even under a different party label. The former minority leader denied his decision to switch was due to a stalemate with conservatives in the GOP.
Many in the local Republican Party are becoming more narrow in their demand for ideological purity, as well as in their demand for a combative tone and posture. I have decided to switch parties.
Last year, Johansson joined forces with Democrats to get Speaker Joe Souki back in power, but the representative said he only just approached the party this month about making the jump. He brushed off questions about how the move would help his constituents, and with committee leadership positions already set, it's not clear where he might be reassigned.
We will discuss it in the future, but it's not like he's been rewarded for what he's doing. Probably he's going to be losing some staff.
Johansson broke the news to Republicans just hours before a news conference, saying his mind was made up.
Whatever promises he made, he's going back on it. So his word is no good. And anybody whose word is not good anymore cannot be trusted.
it's a Republican district. It has traditionally elected Republicans. And so we feel that it's almost an act of fraud.
Johansson hopes voters will understand. Palcic thinks voters should get the right to a recall. The announcement was most devastating to Republican colleague Cynthia Thielen, who made an emotional appeal to the community for support.
Step up and run for office and come join me. I've been there since Eisenhower days when I was a freshman in college and joined the Republican Party. And it was one where social issues weren't what we stood for. It was fiscal responsibility.
Now, the timing is lousy for Republicans since they've just lost any gains that they made during the general election 2 months ago. Johansson joins a long list of state lawmakers to switch parties. Mike Gabbard, Leahu Issa, Willis Sparrow, and Ann Kobayashi are among those still in the political limelight. You may recall that years ago, 3 city councilmen were recalled for switching parties, but that is not an option for voters when it comes to state legislators. Paula?
Yeah, and that's somewhat of a dilemma. And there also are some things that are being said that may or may not be accurate. I know that there were a lot of people, Beth, during the campaigns that were worried about social issues. There was a lot of social issues that were kind of in some districts to make it or break it, whether or not somebody got elected, was how they felt about same-sex marriage, about church and state, and about some other things. Do you think that we are more likely to react to fiscal problems rather than social ones? I mean, people that cling to fighting about social issues, is that what's going on? I mean, what do you and then what do you think the party thinks about social issues?
I think the people of Hawaii are more likely to vote in terms of fiscal issues. I think pocketbook issues are always more top of mind for people. Social issues have been important in the last year, but let's all remember Aaron Johansson is a social conservative and remains a social conservative. So to say that social conservatives are pushing him out doesn't make a whole lot of sense. That's sort of
ironic because it's either that or one has to ask yourself, well, have you been acting for a long time? I mean, right. Are you somebody that you're not to be? Right. I remember, and even though it was a while ago, I remember when State Senator Gabbard made the switch. I know it was with pain. That there's some people that have to come up with an answer. Right. Now here's Aaron Johansson theoretically I'm very disappointed in this and having to answer to his constituents and say, you know what, I'm sorry if I misled you, but I misled you.
Right, and I don't think I don't think he did. Again, to be clear, I think he has the same values. He was a George W. Bush appointee. He has the same values. He is a Republican, but he quit because he didn't want to fight anymore. And do you want that even in a Democrat politician?
It comes and if you look at the Rocky movies, not that I think that we ought to base our society on Rocky movies, but. When Rocky Balboa didn't want to get the towel thrown in, because isn't that sort of what Aaron Johansson has done? He just say, you know what, rather than fight him, I'm just going to join him.
Absolutely. Yeah. He and I were in the same fight, and we're getting attacked by the same people, but I played till the end, and he didn't. Yeah. So
and that's an unfortunate thing. Okay, we're going to forget about that, and we're going to see what it's going to take to go forward. 2015 is around the corner. It starts tomorrow, and we'll get caught up on that right after you get caught up on the news with Chaz on Tie for the last 7:30 report of the year. Good morning, Chaz.
Good